So the first two lessons were all sort of about basic equation solving. Like in 6.1, we did one-step and two-step equations. Okay, those are considered basic. In 6.2, we did equations where variables were on both sides. That's sort of considered basic as well. And then we did fraction equations. Okay, so we've kind of covered all the equations we're going to do this year, except now we may encounter equations where you can actually do some simplifying before you start to solve. Look at, I won't write this yet, but let's look at A. Could we make A little bit easier to deal with? How? And I don't want to start moving things yet. Before I start moving things, could I make the left side or the right side a little bit easier? How?
You could have the x's.
Yeah. I could combine these. So notice I haven't started solving yet. All I'm doing is saying, okay, 1x and 8x is 9x. I'm going to make it a little bit easier. That's called simplifying before solving. Well, we've simplified the right side. We can't simplify the left side because there's nothing to combine. So now we start moving things. What do you want to do first? Yeah.
Subtract 8 from.
Well, don't we want to bring the x's together first?
Oh, geez.
Subtract 9x. And then on the other side, exactly. 5x subtract 9x is?
Negative 4.
-4x. And then on the right side, it's 8. So we're almost done. Divide -4. Because it's, remember, this is multiplying, not subtracting. Divide -4. And therefore, x is equal to -2. Okay, so that's sort of the only additional step we're going to do is maybe you can simplify it before you start adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing things. Look at the left side, look at the right side. Could I make one or both of the sides easier to deal with? Confident? Yeah, that's how you combine these. So what? 7p. That's right. Make it a little easier to deal with first. You don't want to start adding and subtracting things from either side. It'll make things just more complicated. I mean, it could still work out, but it'd be more complicated. Now, what would you do? Bring the 5p's or bring the p's together by adding 5p to both sides. And I get 12p is equal to -14. One more step to get p by itself. Divide both sides by 12. And I will get p is equal to -14 divide 12, which doesn't divide cleanly. So I leave it as a fraction. Don't use your calculator and go to decimal, but make sure it's reduced. -7/6. Yes. Okay, so the rule sort of is always simplify one or both sides of the equation, depending on the question. Before solving, and when I say the word solving, that's when we start doing inverse operations. So like here, like this here, we weren't solving, we were simplifying. We were just making the right side a little bit easier. But here is when we were actually solving. Let's look at a few more examples. How about this one? What do you think you do first to make life easier? Do the parentheses, yes. Which means I've got to multiply everything inside by 2. So what is that? Yeah, right. 2c plus 10 equals 6. Well, there's no more simplifying to do. Go ahead and solve it. Finish it up if you already haven't already. I'll let you guys finish it up before I write it, just to get a little bit of extra practice in. Subtract 10.
And then that would cancel the paternity, subtract it over 6.
So when you get after you do that,
Maybe we get the folder.
yeah.
And then divide 2, and you divide, yeah, 2, so it's equals,
And here too.
yeah.
That's exactly how you do it. Good. We're going to do one more because honestly, I don't want us to worry about this. We're not going to worry about that. Okay, how about this one? Well, it's not times 7 because the 7's not right up against it. But you're right, you got to deal with the parentheses. You've got to subtract everything inside. Right? And what do you get after you subtract and remove the parentheses, right? Minus 3z.
Minus, oh no, positive.
Right? That's how we get rid of parentheses by subtraction. Can I make any side even easier? Before I start moving things? Can I make the left side easier? Yeah, can't I combine 7 and 2? So that's 9.
Wait, but it's, oh, that's.
You all right? Now we can start solving. Yeah.
Okay, so then you subtract 9 from that, so then if negative 3z equals 5, and then you divide negative 3, and then that equals. Okay, but you can't just split it
So leave it as a fraction.
5.
Exactly. Well done. Good. Okay. We'll get just a little bit more complex with the equations where you might have to do a little bit more simplifying for one or both sides. but we'll save that for next week. So for Wednesday, next week, exercise 6.3, but don't do numbers. Don't do numbers 4 and 9B. Don't do number 4. Don't do number 9B. Okay. It's good. Moving at a good pace.
So, you might do it.